Hello, welcome to my seminar. I will be analyzing the character of Heathcliff and his motivations, actions, and traits after he gains his wealth through a Marxist lens. Heathcliff's motivations throughout Wuthering Heights, his obsession with taking revenge on his old enemies, Edgar Linton and Hindley Earnshaw, as well as their descendants. Marxist theory provides a perspective on the way in which he goes about seeking this retaliation or revenge, through gaining economic and social status. Marxism itself is an incredibly effective way of giving a basis for perceiving Heathcliff's behavior and attitude. To start, I would like to just quickly touch on the overarching theme of Marxism relating to the story and Heathcliff as a character. Throughout the novel, there is often social discourse that drives the plot. This discourse is often caused by a continuous cycle of social struggle and class conflict. This is also touched upon in Sean's analysis. Heathcliff continues the capitalist cycle as seen in Marxism by seeking revenge against those who mistreated him. However, he morphs into the anti-hero or villain role, similar to Hindley. There is a cycle of abuse that is directly caused by the capitalist system. The lust for attaining money and social status is what drives this. Heathcliff, after he gains his wealth, becomes incredibly arrogant towards others who have wronged him in the past and their descendants. He does this in order to further his social status and think of himself as better or more socially important than others. An example of this is when he states, "I'll pit him against a paltry creature, unless it bestir itself briskly. We calculate it will scarcely last till it is 18." Heathcliff is referring to his son as it here, an incredibly dehumanizing term. Even though he was referring to his own son, Linton, he does this to command social dominance over the Linton name, as it is related to, obviously, Edgar Linton, the target of his revenge. Furthermore, Heathcliff only thinks of Linton as a somewhat materialistic, valuable asset and a means to enact his revenge, gaining control of Thrushcross Grange. Heathcliff acts like a capitalist in the way that he treats others as assets and laborers that he can use to gain social status and wealth. This is ultimately contributing to his ultimate goal of revenge or retribution, further reinforcing the idea of a class conflict. Heathcliff is ruthless after he gains wealth. In order to enact his revenge against the Earnshaws and Lintons, he uses their own weapons of money and arranged marriages against them, as is said by Stoneman, which is the quote up above here. Firstly, he gains power through the classic ruling class method, using money to buy up land and property mortgages through expropriation. He then organizes his marriage to Isabella in order to have a son. This son, Linton, allows Heathcliff to control both properties entirely. In the end, Heathcliff's goal is encapsulated in this quote: "I want the triumph of seeing my descendants fairly lord of their estates, my child hiring their children to till their father's lands for wages." Heathcliff is once again perpetuating class conflict here, further keeping the cycle of power struggle and class conflict that is the basis of Marxism. To conclude, Heathcliff represents the oppressed class of society that ends up rising up to enact revenge on those who exploited them. However, in the case of Wuthering Heights, this only serves to further keep the cycle of social struggle and class conflict. In a sense, Heathcliff represents both the oppressed and oppressor of a Marxist capitalist society, the bourgeoisie and the proletariat. And according to Marxism, under a capitalist society in which a bourgeoisie and proletariat class exist, there will always be continued conflict.